live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. Wednesday, July 26th. We're going in depth tonight on a couple different topics. This guy behind me, Chase Thomason, is pretty busy tracking storms. We'll get to him in just a moment. We'll head out to Paul Nelson in Payson in just a second, talking about fireworks lighting a home on fire. Not a good scenario. Also taking a look at what's going on with the Lori Vallow Daybell situation. There's a lot going on, and we will get in depth with that in just a few minutes. Remember, as we go in depth tonight, you can always get in touch with us throughout the show. Very easy to do. Use a fancy hashtag 2NewsLive to join the conversation. You can always find us on social media platforms, pretty active on there. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can send a direct message to any of those places to weigh in. Well, let's dive in. Home in Payson destroyed after a firework fountain tipped over after it was lit. Fire crews praising the people who lit the fireworks, saying their quick action is one reason why fire crews were able to knock down that fire so quickly. One of those people also helped the homeowner get out unharmed. Paul Nelson joining us live after talking with him. Paul, what did he have to tell you today?
This kid's story was really impressive. I say kid, he's actually an 18-year-old boy named Tyler Bailey. And what happened was that he was part of the group that was lighting the fireworks. And when he saw that the fountain basically tipped over, it fired right into the bushes at this home in Payson. And he watched as it slowly started to smolder. And at first he thought that the whole thing was going to put itself out. Turns out it didn't. He rushed to kind of douse it as much as he could with a bucket of water. He had previously tried a hose, and it wasn't really working very well. There wasn't a lot of water coming out of the hose. So he tried to douse it with a bucket of water. That didn't work. But it got to the point where it spread very quickly. Within a matter of seconds, it went from just a small fireworks going off to pretty much just catching the entire side of the house on fire. But luckily, though, what happened was that as soon as he heard that there was somebody still inside, he went over to the side door and actually started pounding on the door. And sure enough, the homeowner was able to get out, with his help. But yeah, as far as what this kid was able to do, he was tried to put it out as fast as he could, and then after that, he just made sure that everybody involved could be as safe as possible. So he helped get this person out of the house.
Paul, I know you also spoke with the folks at Payson Fire and Rescue today. I'm just curious, were fireworks legal last night in this location? And is there anything that they're saying about firework use as a whole after this incident?
Matter of fact, yeah, he was asked if this was legal to set them off last night. At the time, he says it was. Now, there are some neighbors that kind of question that. They thought it was after the 11 o'clock curfew, but the fire marshal that we spoke with said that it was done legally, and it was done. He was well within his right to do that. But he also said one of the main warnings is just be vigilant. If something like this happens, if the wind knocks down your fireworks as you're lighting them off, just make sure that you have something there ready in order to make sure that you can try to douse the fire, whatever fire happens, as much as possible. However, now though, the time to light fireworks has since passed. So if any fireworks actually are fired today, and if they do cause any damage, then the people that lit them will absolutely be held liable for those damages.
Paul Nelson live for us tonight. Not often you praise the person who lights the firework and starts the fire. Luckily, everyone was okay here, with the exception of the property. Paul, thank you. So firework concerns are one thing. Mother Nature has been putting on her own fireworks displays as of late. We told you yesterday, at one point this week, roughly 3,500 lightning strikes statewide in about a 24-hour span. Curious about current conditions? Here's what you need to know about parts of northern Utah.
With all the moisture that we've got over the past couple of months, it's really had a significant green up period, and we're still kind of lingering around in that, but it's really starting to dry out with this drier and hotter weather that we've been getting. Just a reminder to the public for Box Elder County, Cache, Weber, Rich, that we're in stage 1 fire restrictions. So just use common sense and be careful. Try and avoid discharging use of fireworks of any kind, tracer ammunition, exploding targets, no cutting, welding, or grinding in dry vegetation. no operating external combustion motors without a spark arrestor, and no fires of any kind except in established facilities or permanently constructed fire pits.
Good reminder of the stage 1 fire restrictions in place. The pictures you saw in that piece were from a lightning-caused fire near Little Sahara in Juab County yesterday, which crews were able to keep at roughly 4 acres. There have been plenty. They've been a little bit off the beaten path where some of these lightning strikes have taken place. If you're interested in more wildfire news, you can find our daily coverage, KUTV.com. Click the news section and then the wildfire tab in there. Mother Nature been putting on those displays. I think she's doing it again tonight.
She is south of Salt Lake right now. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued a few minutes ago. This goes until about 6 o'clock. Now, what I'm noticing is that the rain is kind of falling apart, but that also shows that the storm might be collapsing. When that happens, we get some very strong winds. So that's why there is that warning. It's for winds up to 60 miles per hour for Utah County and southern Salt Lake County. Again, it goes into effect till about 6 o'clock.
Just another night for us here.
I know, another active one, especially south of Salt Lake. We have the Real game here in about an hour and a half. We'll see if these storms will be lingering. So let's get right to your forecast. We will be tracking these thunderstorms, I think, all evening long. But once that sun goes down, hopefully the rain will start to wrap up, especially around Sandy for the big soccer match. Speaking of rain, take a look. This was about 2 o'clock today. You don't see this every day. Waterfalls coming down the stadium at Rice Eccles. Quick hitting thunderstorm dropped a lot of water, and that's what happens. The U picked up about a 1/4 inch of rain, but Vernon picked up more than that, about 1,500ths in South Jordan, and Mill Creek picking up 1,200ths so far today, but we're not done yet. Down in St. George, though, you're dry and you're staying dry. 39 days now in a row with no precipitation. Last time we had rain was June 17th, at least measurable rain. The record, by the way, is 155 days in a row set back in 2019. Extra hot down in Washington County, 108 today. Lots of 90s, though, across the state. This is actually near normal. You can thank some of the cloud cover. Notice, though, Ogden warmer than Salt Lake. You have sunshine north of Salt Lake City, and so the cloud cover didn't really help you out very much today. High pressure is to our southeast. That's kind of that classic setup, but that high is drifting more towards the east. So we'll have some drier air moving in over the next 24 to 48 hours. But still, we are tapping into some of that monsoon moisture that's been moving into the area. Not a ton to work with, but just enough to spark off those thunderstorms. This is that storm that's rolling through Utah County right now and portions of Salt Lake County. Some light showers to our west, but there's more activity in Tooele County, so that might roll in later tonight. So we're watching that. But look at these thunderstorms out in northeastern Utah impacting Price and the Basin. Central Utah, especially over the mountains, has a few thunderstorms near Richfield and Salina. But right now, it looks like most of the I-15 corridor is pretty quiet from Fillmore all the way down to St. George. Now, as we head into tonight, we're going to see these storms kind of linger through about 8 or 9 o'clock, and then after that, they fall apart. As we head into tomorrow, I mentioned that drier air moving into western Utah. We might have 1 or 2 isolated thunderstorms around Salt Lake County, but most of the activity will stay out in eastern Utah. And that'll be the trend as we head into your Friday, more sunshine and drier air. Now, temperatures tomorrow may be hotter. Look at Ogden at 100, 98 in Provo. We'll be in the mid-90s from northeastern into central Utah, and St. George, you're coming in at 109 degrees. And now temperatures will be near 109, 110 all the way through Saturday. Sunday still hot, 106. And then that monsoon moisture surges back into southern Utah. Good chance for rain, we think. And temperatures cooling off into the 90s by Tuesday and Wednesday. Salt Lake, we're just above 100 degrees Thursday through Sunday. I think Saturday's our hottest day at 103. Overnight lows in the mid to upper 70s. And then we'll see our storm chances increase here in northern Utah beginning on Monday. But right now looks like our best chance for rain will be Tuesday and Wednesday. And yes, we'll see temperatures below normal in about a week. Highs near 90.
Oh, we got to get there first with temperatures in the triple digits, of course. And
hot weekend, yep.
Hot weekend, you know, just the same sort of thing goes. If you're heading out, drink your water, wear your sunscreen.
You know
Don't
the
be
drill.
the reason you call search and rescue, please.
Yep.
Thank you, Chase. Remember to download our 2 News weather app to know about changes in your neighborhood. You can get updated forecasts, some live radar right at the palm of your hand. The app is free to download. Going in depth tonight in the Lori Vallow Daybell case. Today, a judge allowed Tammy's aunt, or aunt, depending on where you're from, Vicky Hoban, to move forward with a statement. Amanda Gilbert talked with Hoban following this decision today. Amanda, what did she tell you about this?
Well, Hoban said she was first grateful to the judge for allowing her to do this. She says her family's been pretty quiet throughout all this. She is the aunt of Tammy Daybell, and that's understandable, but she says she really actually does want to speak on Monday. She's speaking on behalf of herself, but also on behalf of her sister, Phyllis. Phyllis is Tammy Daybell's mom, who sadly died from cancer last month. So Vicki kind of talked to me today. She said she promised her sister Phyllis that she would do this for her. So it's very important to her, something she doesn't take lightly.
Amanda, any indication what she's going to say? Did she let you know a couple of her thoughts leading up to this?
Yeah, I did ask her about that, Brian. She said she wasn't going to share her statement ahead of Monday, but she did tell me something she wants to address is Lori's behavior. She talked about how she viewed Lori's behavior in the courtroom throughout the trial, also just Lori's behavior in general. She said, quote, Lori seemed to have a lack of remorse for all of this. So that is something she did talk to me about, and that is something I'm going to go into more detail about here in just a few minutes, coming up at 6. Back to you.
Amanda, thank you. Let's continue to go in depth on Lori Vallow Daybell. As we heard from Amanda, the sentencing is on Monday. Happy to have criminal defense attorney Skye Lazaro joining us tonight. What can we expect from what will take place on Monday? What do you think?
Well, there'll be victim impact statements that have been submitted with the pre-sentence report. So that's been completed. The judge is allowing that. They may also allow people to speak in person at that sentencing hearing. Victims have a right to be heard under the victim rights statutes. And so whether he just allows the statements or if he allows them to give live testimony, that we'll have to see on Monday.
So that'll just kind of happen in the moment, probably decided upon earlier, right? Seeing who would be speaking?
Right. Yeah, typically, Brian, what happens is the defense will make an argument, or it depends how they want to start, but the defense may make an argument as to what they would like to see as far as sentencing, and then they'll allow the victims to state whatever they want. Then the prosecution can make an argument, and Lori herself has a right to be heard at the sentencing as well. So she may choose not to say anything or choose to make a statement.
I have to imagine all eyes will be on that point of view and perspective if that were to take place. These victim impact statements, how powerful can they be in terms of what happens Monday?
I think they can be extremely powerful, especially in cases such as this where it's high emotion, the victims are children. I think judges take them into consideration. I think I've seen things I thought were going to go, a certain way, and after a victim gets up and speaks, judges, make a different determination. In this case, we know she's going to prison. So, that part is fairly determined.
In terms of how long this lasts, right? Because obviously a trial lasted, 5-6 weeks? This was a very long, drawn-out process. How quickly do things move along in the sentencing phase when it comes to something like this?
That's dependent on the case and dependent on how many people want to be heard and how long they get up and speak for. I don't know how long they've set aside for this hearing, but it very could last all day. It could last a few hours. I would not think that they would just get up and submit on a pre-sentence report, but could be wrong. So I would expect it to last at least several hours.
What is the end result likely? What are we thinking will happen here? Obviously, given what we do know about how the trial went, and you mentioned, well, she will be going to prison likely, but what do we expect to take place here on Monday and throughout the next week?
I think some of the biggest decisions that the judge needs to make is whether or not these sentences be run consecutive or concurrent to each other. And so it's not going to be whether or not she's going to go to prison. It's going to be whether or not she's going to serve concurrent life sentences or consecutive life sentences. Anything
that happens here now moving forward, will that be taken into account when it looks at what Chad Daybell has to face coming up?
I would think his attorneys are pretty cued in, as well as the prosecutors, into what happens and what people have to say and how the judge reacts and sentences her. So they're separate cases obviously, but if you're the defense, you're looking at, it gives you a good pulse on where everybody's at on it.
All eyes on Monday, especially if you've been following this case. Skye, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
As always, you can stay with us here at KUTV2 News. Keep you updated on the very latest in Lori Vallow Daybell's sentencing. We have a lot of content on our website right now. If you want to go back, do some keyword searching, you're welcome to do that. You can't miss some of these articles. They're all up there. Our very own Daniel Woodruff will be in Idaho covering this for us. So be sure to join us on Monday, especially if it's something you've been following now for years. It's hard to imagine how much time has passed. We've been talking about this, but another key portion in this case coming up on Monday, so stick with us. Meteorologist Chase Thomason will be here to wrap things up. I know you got your eyes on some storms. It seems like a wash, rinse, repeat for us here over the last few weeks, at least with some storms moving through parts of the state. Any of these really one to look out for right now?
Well, the one, it's falling apart, but the one that impacted Provo and portions of Utah County, that's why you might be getting a severe thunderstorm warning on your phone, especially if you download that 2 News weather app. We had a wind gust of 58 miles per hour, so that can cause a little bit of damage. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a little bit of rain, but we're also seeing some very gusty winds, but this storm is kind of starting to fall apart. We have now another storm popping up right here in the Salt Lake Valley, so we'll be tracking that on 2 News at 6 o'clock here in just a few minutes.
You put up a video earlier today of the hail coming down in Sugar House. Yeah. I was right outside here as it came through. It was amazing. It was sunny on one side of the road.
Yep.
It was nuking on the other side of the road, and that thing was in and out of here in just seconds.
Yeah,
a lot
they're
of these
moving
really
a
quick.
good clip. Yeah, they don't last very long, so just give it some time. If you have any outdoor plans, wait for it to pass. It will likely get better right after it passes.
Yeah, seek cover. Try to avoid hitting the roads in that if you can. And as always, if you're in a good spot, you see something cool, send us a picture or video. We would love to see it by using Chime In. Send it to Chase directly on social media. He would love to check it out. Thanks for watching 2 News Live. We are here Monday through Friday at 5:30. Keeping it loose, keeping it live. Have a good rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow.